Good morning and welcome. Good morning and welcome. You are tuned in and listening to Bat Talk with Sharona. I'm your host. My name is Sharona. As always, I thank you for tuning in. We are back. Happy Wednesday. If you woke up this morning and realized, America, that you are living in a fascist country, congratulations. They say recognition is the first step, and, of course, the first step is to realize where you are and what's going on. And the second step is to do something about it, and hopefully we can contribute to that here at Bat Talk. We've been on a bit of a hiatus. It has we came back. We took a hiatus, and then we came back briefly, and now we're back again, and we're back to stay. We won't promise to be, to do this as long or as regular as we did in the past. We did too many long podcasts last year. In 2017, we're sort of committed to doing shorter, hopefully more effective podcasts. So today's podcast is going to be relatively short, roughly 30 minutes or so is what we're planning on doing. We'll see how that goes. You guys know that I can talk for an hour. It's not a problem. Definitely can do that. And as we'll have guests. We're not going to have a guest today, but we will have guests, and we will listen to what they have to say and what our listeners have to say. And I think that that's important that we start there. What do we do? Where do we go from here in this Trump America that is committed very much to denying you access to public information, to denying women access to health care, to denying so many people of the rights to which they are entitled. We have to start listening to one another. We have to be better about that. I think it's important to recognize that the people who try to silence you, and the stick to sports crowd are people that are trying to silence you. We have to recognize that those people, they don't have your best interests at heart. The people who don't want to have conversations with you, who want to silence the conversations that you have, they don't have your best interests at heart. They want to silence dissent. They want to make sure that not only they, but other people don't hear what you have to say, and you can't let people do that. We're going to finish today's show with a discussion about Bell Let's Talk, and that's also a similar topic where far too many people want to silence people who have mental health issues, who have depression, who have anxiety, who have post-traumatic stress disorder, which, if you listen to me regularly, or if you know anything about me, you know that is something that I have shared with you guys, and it's something that that is important to me that we talk about, and that we talk about what we can do to help one another, and what we can do to to make this world, to make our world a better place, to to help one another, to be better friends, to be better neighbors, to be better citizens. And it all starts with listening. But you can't listen if you're not talking. People can't hear you if you're not talking. So if you're getting the stick to sports message from anyone, don't listen. It's a flawed message. Listen, there's nothing more important than your democracy, which, by the way, did you know that your democracy got downgraded? America, you are no longer a full democracy. You're a suspect democracy. And you're a suspect democracy because the Trump administration is not committed to democracy. It's a fascist regime. It is committed to oppression. It is committed to making sure that you don't have access to public information. It's committed to destroying everything that America stands for. And you can't let that happen. There's nothing more important than that. There's nothing more important than standing up for your rights, than standing up for what your country should be. And we can't let that happen. We cannot let people silence us, no matter what it is, no matter what the issue is. We just simply can't let that happen. So continue to speak up, continue to speak out. Tell the Stick to Sports people no. Sports is a wonderful thing, don't get me wrong. It has its issues just like anything else, but it's not nearly as important as equality, as democracy, as making sure that this country does not become Nazi Germany. And it's incumbent upon all of us to make sure that we continue to speak up, that we continue to speak out, that we do not let ourselves be silenced. And if you're one of those people, and I fall into this too, I fall into this trap as well. If you're one of those people who don't want to have the difficult conversations with your family, with your friends, with your neighbors, with other citizens in your city, in your state, about politics, then you're part of the problem. We have to start having these hard conversations. If we don't start having these hard conversations, well, we're going to end up with what we got right now, right? I mean, we have an administration that is not committed to you. And this is what happens. Frankly, this is what happens when you elect someone completely unfit for the office, someone who trumpets the notion that government should be run like a private. It's not a private business. It's a public entity. It's for the public. Your government is for you. Public government is not supposed to be secretive. It's not supposed to be oppressed. You can do those things in a private organization. You can suppress information. I mean, there is no coincidence that Donald Trump is very friendly with some NFL owners like Robert Kraft. NFL teams do this. They have It always makes me laugh when NFL teams claim to have media. They don't have media. They have propaganda arms, okay? That is not media. That's not true media. They have propaganda arms. And this is what Donald Trump is trying to do to this country. He's trying to make Fox News. It already is his propaganda arm, but he's trying to do it officially, which is so problematic that I just can't even. But it's no coincidence that he's friends with people like that. I mean, that's what he wants to turn this country into, right? I mean, he wants to turn it into his own little private pilfering ground. It's already started. It's going to be really sad and disconcerting to see how much of our natural resources, how much of our wealth and other things are going to be pilfered by this administration. It is scary to think about. So we have to start speaking up. We have to start speaking out. It's really important that your voice be heard. Now, there are some people who won't want to listen. There are some people who will be, committed to making sure that you stay silent. Don't let them silence you. You can't let yourself be silenced. It's so important for you to speak up. It's so important for you to speak out. And it's important to talk to the people that you know. It may not do a world of good, but you have to try. We have to try. We can't let ourselves be lulled into thinking that it's okay to be silenced. It's not okay to be silenced. it's incumbent upon all of us as citizens that we commit ourselves to speaking up and speaking out and making sure that the things that we see going on don't continue to happen. It's, it really is it's really a problem, what's going on in this country. And, hopefully by recognizing where we are and what's going on, and which is the first step. And the second step is speaking out. What can you do? Well, we're going to be talking about that over the next upcoming weeks. What can we do? Here we are, living in a state of oppression, living under an administration that is committed to making sure that your democracy dies, that your democracy goes away. So what can we do? Well, first and foremost, as the old saying goes, all politics are local, all things are local, and that is true here. You have to start locally. Pay attention to your local governments. Pay attention to what's going on in your city. Pay attention to what's going on in your state, because this has been happening. The GOP gerrymandering and working to ensure voter suppression for many years. If you haven't been paying attention, this has been a problem for a while now. It's going to continue to be a problem. It's going to get worse. So pay attention locally. Get involved locally. We're starting to see, a lot more women run for office. We're starting to see, with the crackdown on science, Republicans really hate science because it conflicts with their worldview. But the crackdown on science has led many scientists to plan to run for office. That's a good thing. Get involved. Volunteer. Do what you can where you are with what you have. And that's what we're going to do here, and that's what you should do there. But again, it's so important that you not be silenced, that you do speak up, that you do speak out, and that you do, talk about the issues that concern you, that talk about the issues that are relevant to what's going on in your city, in your state, and in our country. I truly do think that if we join together, we're stronger together. If we join together, that we can stop what is happening in our country. We have so many great things about this country, and this administration is committed to destroying that. We can't let that happen. We have to buckle up. We have to pull our boots on, buckle our bootstraps, and be ready to fight, be ready to address these things. So hopefully, we will do that. Hopefully we will not be silenced. Hopefully we will tell the sports people to stick it and to and remind them of what's truly important. I mean, sports is a great thing, but it's not the most important thing in the world. Your democracy is important. It's important enough to fight for, and we've got to do that. So let's join together and try to do that. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to spend the last 15 minutes of the show talking about Bell Let's Talk, talking about mental health, talking about depression, talking about anxiety, talking about hopelessness. These things are important. They're things that we have spent a lot of time talking about on this show. So stay tuned in. You're listening to Back Talk with Sharona. Okay, welcome back. You're tuned in and listening to with Sharona. I am your host. My name is Sharona. As always, I thank you for tuning in. Happy Wednesday. Today is Bell Let's Talk Day, and as we have talked on this show in the past, mental health is an important issue. And I've shared with you some of my stories, the fact that I have post-traumatic stress disorder and that I've suffered from depression. Depression is something that it's not like it's, some people have episodes of depression and it goes away and thankfully they're okay and they don't ever deal with it again. Sometimes it's centered around an event. But for many, many, many people, depression is a lifelong struggle. And it's something that, in the past we haven't been very good about talking about. We haven't been very good about sharing our stories about that because there's been such a stigma associated with mental health issues, with depression, with anxiety, with with a lot of things that fall under that mental health umbrella. So, shout out to everyone who is participating, who is participating in the Bell Let's Talk movement, because it is so important that we have these conversations. It's so important that we not let ourselves be that we be silenced about these issues. Mental health affects so many people. I promise you, if you aren't suffering from depression or anxiety, you know someone who is. Maybe they've talked to you about it. Maybe they haven't. We are all connected in one way or another, and you really can make a difference simply by reaching out and talking to the people that you know and letting them know that that you're there for them. I posted something on Twitter a few days ago, and I think that it's relevant to this conversation. The question, what can I do to help, is such a powerful, not just a powerful question, but it's a powerful sentiment. It comes from an open mind. It comes from a mindset that you're willing to listen, that you're willing to to reach a hand out to help someone, to help your friend, to help your neighbor, to help your spouse. Maybe your spouse suffers from these issues, and you haven't. You never know what someone is going through. So, reach out to other people. Listen to what they have to say. Sometimes they come to you in a way that maybe you don't appreciate. And let's make one thing clear. You do not have to tolerate abuse. And if someone is being abusive to you, if someone is tweeting hate at you or screaming hate at you in your personal life, you don't have to put up with that. And you can and should separate yourself from that. I've become very proactive on my social media accounts. We all like to have fun. We all like to express our opinion. But if you're spewing hate, if you're calling me names in my mentions, you're gonna get blocked. Okay? That's just the way it is. And if you're spewing hate on social media, I'm not going to follow you. I'm not going to be friends with you on Facebook. I don't need that in my life. It's how we communicate with one another really is very important. And you can communicate in an open and loving way, or you can communicate in a way that, puts people off, that tells them that you really don't want to hear what they have to say. And I think that that's been a lot of the problem. We spent so much time so much time screaming at one another that we stop to listen to one another. We spend so much time trying to force our opinions on other people or silence people from, expressing their opinions, that we don't, we don't listen. Listen, ask questions. Try to see where someone is coming from. Try to understand their point of view. That's so empowering. And, you never know, you may change a life. You may change an opinion. You may make someone think. And if you can make someone think, if you can cause them to say, hey, I hadn't really thought about this, or I hadn't really looked at something this way. You never know whose life you could affect. You never know what good you could do. You never know who might need that. I think a lot of the mistakes that we make in this life is because, it's because we don't stop and listen, and we don't take the time to try to understand, and we don't, let people fully express what their background is, where they're coming from. And I don't want to detract from Bell Let's Talk, but that reminds me a lot of what happened. The Women's March was such a powerful thing. It's really the only thing that and the resistance is really the only thing that that's made me feel hopeful for this country. And if you're not familiar, of course, the Women's March took place on Saturday. It was an amazing thing. So many men and women and kids showing up to show support for equality and for really for democracy, because equality is democracy. And it was so great to see that. I know a lot of people, or I shouldn't say a lot of people. I know some people avoided it. Some people boycotted it because of issues that have happened in the past. And it's important to recognize that women are fallible, and we make mistakes. To be equal, to have equality, is to be human. And being human means that you're given the right to make mistakes. And I think a lot of the problems with white feminism and with the division in feminism and the push for equality for women has occurred because of ignorance. Now, certainly some of it has occurred because of other things, but a lot of it is ignorance. And if you reach out a hand and if you say, I understand where you're trying to come from, but listen to this, hopefully the other side will listen, and then you explain, where you're coming from, and then the other side listens. We can come to a better understanding of one another. And I think that's important because we are stronger together, and the things that bind us are far more important than the things that divide us. And certainly I've made mistakes in the past, and I'm trying to be a better ally. I'm trying to be a better activist. And I can only do that. I can only be that by listening to my other sisters, whether they're sisters of color, whether they're women who, trans women, women who are gay, women who have different backgrounds, a different upbringing from me. The only way I can understand is to listen, and I'm committed to doing that. I'm committed to being, a better ally, a better activist, and I hope that you are too. And once again, it starts by listening. It starts by being open to what someone has to say, by asking questions, by thinking about what that person has to say. And if we can do that, just imagine the change that we could accomplish. Just imagine how strong and powerful we could be if we did do that. So, hopefully we will do that. Bell, let's talk. Mental health, mental illness should not be a stigma. Depression, anxiety, PTSD, these are things that should not be a stigma. We should talk about them. We should welcome other people talking about them. So let's talk about it. Let's get it trending. Bell, let's talk. Pay attention to the hashtag. Pay attention to the stories. They are important. We'll take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to wrap things up, so stay tuned in. You are listening to That Talk with Sharona. All right, welcome back. You're tuned in and listening to Bat Talk with Sharona. I am your host. My name is Sharona. As always, I thank you for tuning in. Quick show today, but we are back. We're committed to staying back. We're going to be regular, but we won't promise to do 3-hour podcasts. In fact, we're not going to do 3-hour podcasts this year. We're going to do shorter podcasts. We're going to try to do one, if not 2 podcasts per week. We're going to try to do a show on Friday. If you are a listener of the show and you want to stay tuned into what's going on, just follow me on Twitter, Sports by Sharona. Check out my website, That Talk with Sharona. You can listen to previous episodes, keep up with what's going on, and hopefully you'll share that information and be supportive. Listen to one another. Be kind to one another. Compassion is sorely needed in this country, and we're definitely living in very scary times. Let's band together. Let's make sure our democracy does not fail. Let's make sure our neighbors do not suffer in silence. Together, we are such a powerful force. Let's band together and work to make sure this country, our cities, our neighborhoods are better places. It all starts with us. It all starts with you. It all starts with me. I'll promise to do better. I'll promise to try to do better. Will you? I hope you will. That's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. You've been listening to Bat Talk with Sharona. Follow me on Twitter again, Sports by Sharona. We'll hopefully be back on Friday. Again, thanks for tuning in and have a wonderful week. Bell, let's talk.
I woke up and wished that I was dead, with an aching in my head. I lay motionless in bed. I thought of you and where you're gone. Let the world spin by.